Okay, in this video we're going to quickly look at making a number guessing game inside of Python. It's relatively quick and straightforward to make. Obviously, if you're a very beginner at Python, it can be complex, and this is something that gives a lot of areas, that challenge and that practice that you need within programming in general. So I'm going to get straight into it. So if we're going to make a number guessing game, we don't want it to be static, so we don't want the number to equal 55 and then have to come into the code and change it each time. What we're going to use is the random class, so we're going to import random. Once that's imported, we can then use it later on, but for now we're going to just give the user a bit of information about what's going on. So I'm just going to print out to the screen, welcome to the number guessing game. Try to guess the number, and then you can just put between 1 and 100, just so they've got some key information there to then play the game. So we've told them what's happening. Next thing we need to do is randomly generate this number. So I'm going to set up a variable called rand_num. It's obviously just short for random_number. That's going to be equal to random, so because we've imported the class up here, the module, we're going to use that to call a method called randint. And you'll know you've done it right if when you open up the bracket in Python in idle, you'll know you've done it right when it comes up with a prompt box saying return a random integer in the range A to B. So in here, you're going to put your range in. In this case, if my number guessing game is between 1 and 100, well, the range is going to be 1 and 100. So that should return back and store a random number inside this variable rand_num. Now, when this program runs, it'll run through it line by line, so it's only going to run this line once. Therefore, that number is only going to be randomized once, and it will stay that number throughout the entire program. So this is where we want to start to ask the user what their guess is and check and see if it's the same as the random num, i.e. they got it right, or if it's not, then we'll give them another guess, and I'll just keep looping around until they get it right. So I'm going to set up a main function here, just call it main, so define def main, open close brackets, colon. In here we're going to ask the user to input their guess, so I'm going to make a variable called guess, input, and then all I've done here is I've forced the input to be of an integer variable. So int, open bracket, input, close brackets. Pretty straightforward. Next, we're going to do a check. So it's going to be a comparison. So you can say if guess is equal to rand_num, then do something. So obviously, if the guess is the exact same as the random number, then you can simply print correct. Else we could say print try again. Okay, so this still isn't quite finished yet. We've got a few more things to do and add, but let's just run through what we got so far. We're going to ask the user to input their guess. It's going to be stored in the variable guess. We're then going to take that and check against the random number itself to see if they match. If they match, then we print correct. If not, we're going to print try again. And then after we printed try again, we can just call our main method, a function that we just created, just call it again, and it'll run through this line here to ask the user for another guess, and then run through the check again. I'm just going to add in here, in the input, we can add a prompt. So we can say guess colon space, and then this will just print out guess and the colon, and then it'll be the cursor will be blinking, waiting for the user to input. Just a bit more clarity around what the user's doing. So we've got all that set up. If we were to save it, let's call it rand_num game. We run it. Now we are going to come into an issue here. So let's give it a run. As you can see, all it does is it just prints out welcome to the number guessing game, try to guess the number between 1 and 100, and then it ends. What we need to do is outside of the main function is just call main. So we call it once, and once that's been called once, it'll set that loop of whether the person's got it right or wrong. So here's the guess. We can enter 54. It'll say try again, 50, 65, and obviously there's 100 different combinations. So what we want to do really is add in a feature whereby we say to guess higher or to guess lower, because at this rate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, it's going to take forever. So let's go back to our code here, and we can say elif, so else if guess is greater than rand_num, then we can print, instead of try again, we can say guess lower. This will be, so if guess is bigger than the number, then we'll tell them to guess lower, and it'll run it again. I'm just going to take that to be a single if, and then we'll add another if guess is this time smaller than rand_num. Then I'm going to print guess higher, and then give the user a guess again. So let's give this a run. So we've got our prompt at the beginning, our first guess, and we put in 54, it's going to say guess higher, so I'll go 80. It says guess lower, so let's try 70, higher than 70, 75, higher than 75, 79, lower 78, lower 77, lower 76. Of course it'd be the last one in between, but there we go, pretty much done. You could run this several times to try and test to see if it works, to make sure it does. So obviously that time the random number was 76, let's just run it again, let's go 50, it's going to say higher, let's go 80, lower, let's go 70, higher, 78, lower, 75, 76, 74, 1, 2, 72. So it was close then. For some reason part of me thought it was actually going to be 76, but a random number between 1 and 100, it just happened to be quite close. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There are a lot more things we could add to this. We could insert a counter that would count how many guesses and then print the number of guesses at the end. We could add in a way to make sure that the user only enters numbers, so if they were to enter a letter in by accident, it wouldn't cause an error. So you can see, put in a guess, if I was to type in obviously the word 10, we get a value error, so obviously it doesn't work. So we can put checks in, and we can make sure that the user only enters in what we want them to enter. So I've just got another one here, I'm just going to load it up for you. So same as before, importing the random. This is pretty much what we've just made, this main v1 that I've done here. Then there's also a main v2 that I've done here, which has shortened the amount of code here. We're kind of compiling these two if statements to check if it's higher, sorry, not these two, checking these two to see if it's higher or lower, and we're combining them into one else statement. But then this still just relies on us repeating the function that we've made, just calling it and calling it and calling it until the person gets it right. Whereas main 3, it's all encapsulated in this one main function, and it will just loop through using a while loop. So you can say while true, guess, get the input. If the guess equals random num, then you print correct, and you just break the loop, you break the while loop. Else you're going to print guess higher or guess lower, and then continue. So it'll keep going through this loop, and it'll keep starting with guess and checking to see what the user's input is. So as always, I'll put this, I'll put the code all into a PasteBin, and you can access it in the link below. Go ahead, play with this, try a few different things, change the numbers from 1 to 1,000 maybe, and try and add in extra features as you see fit. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.